Welcome to this tutorial on creating dynamic math models with Geogebra. Geogebra is a versatile math program you can download for free from the internet. Check it out at geogebra.org. In this tutorial, we'll be using the software to create an interactive diagram you can embed in a website or learning management system. Let's get started. Let's say you're teaching your students about sound waves and you want them to explore how different sound waves interact. Using GeoGebra, you can model two different sound waves as sine functions, as I've done here, and you can use a third sine function to represent the sum of the two waves. Now this graph is a good start, but how can we help students understand how the different parameters that define a sound wave, amplitude, frequency, and phase, change both the individual functions and how they interact? The answer is to create a dynamic model which allows students to adjust each parameter individually. So here's how the finished model will look, and as you can see, we've got each sine curve graphed individually as well as the sum, but this time the parameters are defined by these sliders which can be changed, so you can see the effect of having different values for any one of them on both the individual curve and on the sum. The first step in creating our model is to create the variables that will define the parameters, which we can do using this function called slider. Click on slider and then click anywhere on the page where you want the slider to appear. We're going to use the name a sub 1 to stand for amplitude of the first sine curve, and we'll just use a range of -1 to 1. The second variable uses the Greek letter omega to define the frequency. And don't forget the sub 1 since we'll have two sets. And then lastly, phi represents phase. Feel free to play around with the range. I'm just using -1 to 1 because it's simple. So we have our first set of variables defined, and we'll do the same for the second set. Once our sliders are set up, we can now move on to defining the functions in terms of the variables we created. Use the input bar at the bottom of the screen to type the function in, as you see it here, using the symbol to the bottom right to find the Greek letters that you need. Hit enter, and your function appears on the graph. Repeat the process, defining the second sound wave as function g, using the second set of variables a sub 2, omega sub 2, and phi sub 2. And lastly, we'll define the sum as f of x plus g of x. At this point, you'll want to make your graph easier to read by defining the functions with different colors, which you can do by right-clicking on each function and going into the Object Properties pane. Selecting Color, and we'll go with green. You can edit the color of the sliders in the same way by right-clicking and entering the Object Properties pane. It's a good idea to make the sliders match the color of the function they refer to. You'll probably also want to use a text box to clarify what the variables mean. Editing the object properties gives you the chance to increase the size of the text and other formatting options. Let's see, let's make the background color white. So at this point, you should have a fully functioning dynamic model, and the only step left is to get it embedded in your website. It's a pretty painless process to get your finished diagram uploaded to the web. Just go to File, Export, and export as a dynamic worksheet HTML. Give your work a title and a description if you'd like, and then you'll upload it to Geogebra's Geogebra Tube page on the web. There are a few pages where they ask you to give some additional information. The first is directions for students, and it's mandatory if you want to upload your worksheet. When you're done, scroll to the bottom of the page and click Continue. And then you can also optionally add information for teachers who may be browsing the site looking for materials. Once your worksheet has been created, you can either view it on the web and share the link with students. It's fully interactive. Or you can embed it in your own site or course management system. Click on the link to embed. We're using a Google site, so we'll use that code. And grab the code. In your Google site, make sure you're in the editor. Click Insert, More Gadgets, and Add Gadget by URL. Then just paste the code you have on the clipboard and click Add. I usually have the best luck by replacing the pixel width with 100%. Otherwise, it should be all set. I like to center mine on the page, but it's full width, so that doesn't matter much. Hit Save. And you now have a fully interactive app on your Google site. Enjoy.